Love your neighbor. Right about 5,500 square feet. Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. I want to welcome you to my home. I've got another neighbor across the street that we're going to help out. You know, we've done a whole lot to my neighbor over here on the other side of me, and I wanted to love her like I love myself, right? And so we took her yard and transformed it. She was in a little bit different situation than my neighbor on the other side of me. He's in much better shape as far as the starting position goes. So I'm gonna show you how I do this. You know, the Pharisees were kind of testing Jesus a little bit and trying to trick him, I believe, and about the 10 Commandments, and Jesus kind of come back at them and wrapped them all up with, hey, love the Lord your God with all your heart, put God first, basically. And the second part of that was love your neighbor as yourself. Now, whether you're a believer, whether you believe in God, Jesus, or not, okay, that's irrelevant in what I'm getting ready to say. If the world took that one biblical principle, love your neighbor like you love yourself, meaning love other people just like you love yourself. If the world just applied that one principle in life, that's all they would have to do, that one principle. Whether you believe in God or not, that's irrelevant. Do you realize the world we live in? If everybody, everywhere, in every little crack and corner of the world loved their neighbor just like they love themselves, that would probably fix every single problem and every single thing that's wrong with the world today. You agree? So this right here is my yard. You've seen it 100 million times. And one thing you won't see is brown patch fungus. I follow my cool season lawn care guide pretty much to a T. And this is kind of what you get. Now here's a little different story. We've got a yard that is wrapped up with all kind of goodies. You can see I've already started working on the Dallas grass, which I've been using that little foam applicator for that. I've got some Lespedeza here. I've got some crabgrass here. I've got plenty of Rhizoctonia solani, brown patch fungus. I've got some heat stress in here. I've got more heat stress right over here. More crabgrass here. I don't even know what that is. Actually, you know what that is? That looks like some type of a fine fescue, maybe. How it got here, I have no clue. More weeds here, more Lespedeza up here, more crabgrass up here, clover, got some oxalis right there. So I just got done pumping some water to it. Used my big sprinkler, that big jumbo sled, 18 gallon per minute nozzle on that. And I ran it over here for about 3 hours straight, give it a good heavy deep soaking. If you do the math on that, that's about 3,000 gallons of water. So that should help get it kicked back in gear. So this is going to end up being about a 3 or 4 part series of videos. The first thing we want to do is get the disease cleaned up. I want the fungus gone, eliminated for right now, so that I can get the yard healthy and begin to work on all these weeds. So there's really about 3 things that's going to make the yard, a cool season yard, go brown. One obviously is winter dormancy. 2 is disease, fungus, that kind of thing. And then lack of water during the summer, which is a summer dormancy. So I'm going to show you the difference between brown patch fungus and heat or drought stress. Both of them cause brown in the yard. You can see here I've got brown right here in the yard. I've also got a different brown. They're the same brown, but they come from a different culprit. This brown right here is heat stress. Now, can you have both? Absolutely you can. I'm showing you right here that you can have brown patch fungus and you can have heat stress in the same yard. So let's get down here close and let's look at it really closely so that you'll know how to identify the difference between the two. And you can see here how this one grass blade has curled up like a little needle and turned completely brown. That's going to be your first obvious sign, is how the grass blade actually looks. You can see it's 100% brown. It's curled up like a needle. Like I said, it's a round shape instead of a nice flat shape. And you can see with this area right here, there's no exact pattern. There's no exactness to the shape of this pattern right here. Now, when we come back over here to the brown patch, you can see it has a very nice pattern to it, a round circular shape. If you look right in the middle of it, you can see that little spot of green right in the middle. You can see here's the circle here, and there's the green right there. That's another dead giveaway. Now you can see this leaf blade right here is still perfectly flat, but I want you to see the lesions on the leaf. See the different colored rings and little circles and little abnormalities on this plant leaf. And if you inspect your grass closely and you find those lesions, and then also in conjunction with that you find the round circular patches, possibly having a green spot of grass right in the middle, you know for a fact that you got brown patch fungus. Now let me come back here to my area, what I call the test plot, give you another good example of heat stress. You won't find any brown patch fungus out here because I treat for that preventative. Inside that cool season lawn care guide, there's a full-blown commercial preventative and curative fungicide program in there. Of course, I run the preventative on my property and the test plot back here so that I never see the fungus. I stop it in its tracks before it even shows up. But you can see I've got a little bit of heat stress going on back here. There's no perfect circular pattern. There's no lesions on the leaf back here. It's an abnormal shape of brown that is simply from I haven't been watering back here like I should. So the alternative to doing this is obviously wait until a little later in the year, till fall, let it cool down, let some rain start coming, let the heat stress go away naturally, let the brown patch fungus go away naturally. And of course we'll aerate and seed this. That's going to be kind of the last step of the program. We're going to use the GCI turf type, the all fescue grass seed over here in his yard. So here's the steps I'm using, step by step. First and foremost, water. If you're going to attempt this, you have to water, and you're going to continue to water for the rest of the year. Step number 2, I want to get rid of that disease. I used Azoxystrobin, it's a liquid strobe product, commercial grade. I used the absolute highest labeled rate for one single application for brown patch fungus. Also had that new product I've been testing all year, and I put some food in the tank. A lot of people leave that part out. I put some food in the tank, some 1801 GreenePunch, 5 ounces per 1,000. So just a little tickle of nitrogen in there. And what that's going to do is that fungicide is going to combat that fungus and that disease and stop it from doing any more havoc. And then the nitrogen in the tank is going to promote a little bit of growth. So what's going to happen is that turf is going to grow up, and as it grows up, you actually may think the brown patch is getting worse, but it's not. That new material from the plant is pushing up that brown, and then as you mow, you cut the brown off. Typically it's about 2 mowings on that, 3 sometimes has been my experience. And last but not least, in the tank, I absolutely want the natural adjuvant in there. I'll check my pH once I get my entire solution finished. I check the pH and make sure I'm at a 5 or a little bit below. If I need to drop it a little bit, I put some citric acid in there to drop it. The goal is to be right around 5 or just a pinch below that. Man, you get all kind of benefits from that. We've been using it for years, save thousands and thousands of dollars on fungicides simply because of the adjuvant that we're using. And not only do we get a good adherence to the plant. It sticks to the plant good. We also get a lot of plant benefit, health benefits out of it as well. The chitosan in there will kind of trigger that mechanism that's in the plant for self-defense. God put that in the plant. When disease and stress and all come on, it goes into self-defense mode to try to fight that back. With the chitosan or intensifies that reaction. It increases the plant's ability to fight and resist stress and disease. Not only that, the transpiration process, water falls from the sky, plant takes it up, evaporates it out through the leaves. It limits that process by about 50% or so the studies say, and so that's going to help your plant to hold more water. That's really crucial during drought times. So once I have my mixture right, I just go out there and spray the yard. I actually use 4 gallons to cover 5,500 square feet. So within that 4 gallons, I had the correct amount of product for the fungicide, the Adjuvant, and the GreenePunch, and that other product I was talking about. So instructions from me to my neighbor. He does have irrigation, underground irrigation. He doesn't run it like he should, and that's totally and completely his decision, but I'm going to politely ask him, would he mind running it for about 3 or 4 days this coming week, early in the morning, and really pound the ground with water, get the plant really reacting so it can grow a little bit and grow out of that brown patch and get that disease cured up. Next video, I'll go and tell you what I'm gonna do, so in case you wanna follow this, you can be prepared. I'm gonna come out here with Drive Accelerate, because that's the herbicide I wanted to choose, because it covers pretty much everything they got in their yard, maybe a couple things that don't. May end up spiking it with a little bit of triplet. I'll continue with my little foam applications on some of this Dallas grass and that grassy type stuff he's got along the road. It's incredibly difficult to control. I've got those little foamers on the website still. They're super cheap, super effective, and you can see what they're doing to that Dallas grass. It's just frying it. Then come around mid-September, we'll film that too, but I'll do a very severe core aeration, meaning I'll go over the yard multiple times, seed it fairly heavy, around 6 or 7 pounds of seed per 1,000. We'll use the GCI turf type tall fescue over here, and he'll have a great yard. He'll really have a great yard. So that's more of the pro take on how we would come into a yard and manage it. We got disease, crabgrass, broadleaf, all kind of crap going over here, heat stress, and so I kind of take it step by step by step, do it in phases, and then you end up with a great yard. And of course, then you want to run a cool season guide and prevent the crabgrass and prevent the fungus and keep it watered and keep it fed to keep the color and all that kind of thing. So a lot of patience involved in lawn care. You know what I mean? I'm not an instant gratification kind of guy. I don't have a magical product I can go over and put on that one yard for this particular circumstance and magically fix it. I don't have it. I don't know if it even exists or not. So I do it the old-fashioned way. I use my mind, thinking things through, do it step by step by step, the right way, do things at the right time during the course of the year, and that's how we get the results, and you end up with a yard looks like mine for long term. So I appreciate you watching. Thank you for taking time out of your day. It is hot as fire out here. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm wringing, dripping wet. I'm going inside and eat some breakfast. I'll check you later.